Welcome, everyone, to Gameful Learning 101. I'm Katrine Becker. This is the continuation of a 10-question series that introduces me and the work I've been doing for about the last 15 years or so. It was originally created for the Game-Based Learning Virtual Summit that was held on November 1st to 3rd, 2023, and hosted by Patrick Felicia. I hope you enjoy it. Question 4 asks, what are the most pressing or intriguing challenges or trends in my field, which is formal education, at the moment, and how might I address them?
I'm so glad that you asked this particular question. It's something that I have often thought about, and that in many ways the pandemic has brought to the forefront, or at least should have, for a lot of people. The question of accessibility, first off, applies not only to the learners, but also to the teachers, the facilitators, the instructors, because the same kinds of issues can exist on both sides of the podium, if you will. But I'm going to just focus on for the learners for the moment. And I see it as having basically three main prongs that we want to look at. So one of them has to do with diverse abilities. So anything from various neurodiversities to physical differences, blindness, hearing loss, even limb differences, all of which can have an impact on how the learner can engage with the material. And that is something that we need to give some thought to. Another one is cultural diversity, and the way that we approach things will have an impact in how the students, the learners, can assimilate the information, how they can take it up, and how they can consider it. And then the third one is economic diversity, and the pandemic, I think, is one of these things that has really highlighted the importance of this. It's one thing to say, let's make sure that every kid in the classroom gets an iPad. But if they don't have reliable Wi-Fi connectivity at home, then having the iPad isn't really going to help them an awful lot, even if it is given to them in the classroom. If, on the other hand, you expect every learner to provide their own, well, that automatically disparages differences in the classroom. So the ways that we can address these challenges, there is an awful lot of overlap in how we can approach things, and sometimes solutions that address one area tend to address multiple areas at the same time. One of the things I've been given a lot of thought to lately has to do with neurodiversities. So I'm part of a family of 5 people, our 3 grown children, and I am the only neurotypical in my family. My one daughter was just recently diagnosed with autism, and all 3 of my children have ADHD, and my husband was also, just in the last year and a half, also diagnosed with adult ADHD. And there are profound implications on what this means in terms of being able to learn material, being able to show up for your courses, being able to work your way through any kinds of things you are given. And so it turns out that, if we organize things, let's say, to help support people with ADHD, it will likely also be beneficial to a whole bunch of other people. But how we approach that requires an understanding of the neurodiversity and the requirements and the challenges that are presented by it. So I think that talking about making things accessible it's not a very simple question to answer, because you cannot simply say I'm making it accessible and therefore now everybody's going to be able to manage this and make the best of it. We have to actually think about individual challenges that we are going to address, and we need to admit that we may not be able to address all of them. So one of the ways of supporting this if you cannot. I mean, it's not going to be possible to design a simulation that is going to be ideal for all, you know, neurotypicals, neurodiversities, people with various kinds of challenges. It's simply not possible to do. So what we then need to come up with is a variety of approaches that people can take, multiple modalities, low-tech solutions to things, or giving them choices on different kinds of technologies, ways to do things in written form, ways to do things in visual form, with moving things, with not moving things, with tactile stuff. There's a whole lot of things that we need to think about providing in order to make things accessible for the broadest range of people. And that takes planning, that takes understanding of the different kinds of the audience that you've got, that you're designing this thing for. And without that, you are, you know, it is said that games can help people to become more engaged, but if you do it the wrong way, all you're doing is engaging a different subgroup of people than you had engaged before. You're still going to be losing a bunch of other kinds of people.